This is Myogi Touge, a fast-flowing, smooth mountain home race of the Myogi Night Kids. And this is a Ford Mustang. But it's not just any Ford Mustang, because this is Max Verstappen. And this Mustang was tuned to be a bespoke race car mimicked from the Redbull that Max Verstappen drives. From weight placement, aerodynamics, differential tuning, I tuned this Mustang to be the best cornering, closest road car in a simulator we can find to Max Verstappen's Redbull. Oh, and this is not like those fake initial D cars that people think drives like Keisuke Takahashi's RX-7, but it drives like a truck. This was hours well spent. I looked through telemetry, countless driver onboards, the philosophy of Max Verstappen's technique, the Redbull, all the signs of what this car has been able to do in the past. I needed it to be perfect for this car. And here we got it, petrol heads. Although if you haven't noticed, well, this wheel is not moving because it is broken. So we are using a keyboard.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not.
The first thing that was on my mind was, well, the differential, because it is one of the most important parts of the car that fulfills the principle of the way this car is supposed to rotate around corners and not almost hit the inside guardrail. This differential is tuned very loose. When it comes to the friction of the diff, it's not exactly frictionless, but it is much more on the light side. What do I mean by this? Well,
I am stupid.
In order to charge the differential, this diff charging that can be accomplished by, well, yanking the wheel, forcing the rear wheels to differentiate in speed. This comes quite easily on the differential. There's not a lot of friction, which means it doesn't take a whole lot just to energize the rear diff, to charge it up for the corner. But if you turn in as slow and pointless as a granny, well, the diff isn't gonna charge. There is some friction, but relatively it's on the light side. So when you actually have, I don't know, a steering wheel that can turn the front end, that can charge the diff and use the rotation, use that rotational energy to what it should be used, well, this car is a monster. And in case you never knew, well, Max Verstappen also uses a loose acceleration tune on the differential. It's not just deceleration and preload for the yanking. From mid-corner to exit, Max is gently inducing rotation using acceleration, making that outside rear wheel accelerate. It is transferring the weight back, getting ready for exit to floor it, but it's also rotating the car. Because hello, Max Verstappen is a real racer, and his rotation is as fluid as water. The rear end is primarily twitchy but grippy, stuck to the ground, as Max likes it. If Max was driving a go-kart, what he would be aiming for the most is lifting the inside wheel off the ground to get the most difference in speed, to rotate the rear end without sliding it. Charles and Michael Schumacher, those guys slide it. Max wants all four wheels to be gripping the ground while rotating the car. That's why I say oftentimes that he's bending the chassis of the car. Bending. It's not actually bending. Or sometimes his driving is so crazy it might just be bending the carbon fiber chassis of a Formula One car. I think if it was those 1970s cars, Max would have snapped it. Max would have definitely snapped those chassis. The front end suspension and the rear end suspension has been tuned so well, I hardly can believe it. It doesn't feel like there's a 5-liter supercharged V8 in the front. And it's not even front mid engine, it's a muscle car. All the Americans care about is give me 1,000 supercharged horsepowers and let's do the quarter mile. It's more just super grippy and insistent on turning more than it is a light front end. Because I mean, the V8 is still there. I didn't change anything on that. The rear is rotating constantly while sticking to the ground. I made the aggression of the steering arrows, well, quite aggressive, if you haven't noticed. And so when I turn in, it charges the diff. I hold it in, and the steering wheel is using all that differential charged up rotational energy. But I can't just hold it for a shorter time and then just tap the steering, and it will be like I'm yanking and then holding. I'm not using the differential energy. At really high speed corners, I can yank and hold. On acceleration, you see that was an overcharged differential. Besides not having fast enough and high enough steering angle to use all that rotational energy, I mean, I couldn't have even. The corner was so fast, so low angle. For that amount of rotational energy to be useful and not put me into the wall, I'd have to enter the corner faster. And this is what's just amazing about the philosophy of that Red Bull that Max Verstappen is driving. Honestly, I think it's one of the best race cars, one of the greatest race cars of all time. In philosophy and in practice. Look at the achievements that Red Bull has. I mean, last year, that Red Bull, yes, Max Verstappen was the man that was doing all the work to fight for the championship contention. And he almost beat Lando, who was driving a car 5 light years faster than that Red Bull. But you're forgetting that, well, though the Red Bull might have been slow, the spirit of limitlessness that Ayrton Senna and Max Verstappen drive by, that's the philosophy that the car was built upon. It took a lot of sweat and blood for Max Verstappen to do what he did last year. And thrash Lando the previous year also. I mean, 25 was, if we must put skill against skill, 25 was Max versus Oscar. Lando doesn't come, yeah, we already know this. But Lando's in the picture because he was spoon-fed, and in the end, he actually didn't bottle the spoon feed. He won the championship. We are going off topic. Not that good on the keyboard, but I've clearly designed nothing short of a masterpiece.